to graft these stitches together on the toe of the sock using the Kitchener stitch. And to get off to a good start, the first thing you have to do is make sure you have the same number of stitches on the front needle as the back needle. I've counted, and I have 10 on each. You take your yarn, break it, and thread it onto a tapestry needle. And what we want to do is show you how to memorize the Kitchener stitch. This will be most helpful to people who have already done it before, but find they have to look it up each time. And I'd like to try to keep it in your head and keep you from having to look it up. First of all, remember, once we get rolling, what we have to do is 2 things on the front needle before going to the back and doing 2 things on the back needle. The things that you do are to go into a stitch a certain way and take it off, and go into the next stitch a certain way and leave it on. Those are the 2 things, and here's how you remember which you do first. On the front needle, when you see knit stitches, what you're going to do is go into the first stitch knitwise, pop it off, go into the next one purlwise, and leave it on. Same is true on the back needle. If you look at this, you see purl stitches, and that will tell you that the first thing you do is you go into a stitch purlwise and pop it off, then knitwise and leave it on. Now there is a setup at the beginning, and the setup is the second half only of those 2 things. So normally, let's go here, normally we would be knitting off and purling on, and we're simply going to go into the first stitch purlwise and pull it through. Again, setup action here. Back needle, we normally would go into it purlwise and pop it off. We go into the next one knitwise and leave it on. We're only doing the second half, which is just to go in knitwise and leave it on. Now our setup is complete, and now we start doing those 2 things that we talked about. I also want to help you by not getting lost. If you go into the first stitch knitwise like we're supposed to, and you pull your needle through, what happens is you'll be pulling your needle through so often you'll forget where you are. So let's do this instead. Knitwise, pop it off, pivot your needle, go into the second stitch purlwise. There are your 2 things on the needle. Now we pull through. We go underneath. Keep your yarn always underneath. Think of your yarn as a saw. It's going to saw all these stitches off, and it can't do it if it's on top of the needle. It has to be underneath. Okay, we go to the back needle. What do we see? Purls. So we go into the first one purlwise. Pop it off, pivot, go into the next stitch knitwise, and then pull through. Front stitch, we see knit, we go in knitwise, pop it off, pivot, go in purlwise, pull through. Now just now I pulled and my yarn jumped on top, so I want to keep it down below, underneath. Back needle, purlwise, pivot, knitwise, pull through. And what you're doing is you're creating 1 row of stitches across the top. And now we'll pause for just a minute. I will finish this off, get to the end, and show you what we do at the end. Stop a minute. Okay, now I have worked my way across the stitches, and what I have is just 1 stitch left on each needle. I've already gone through each of them once, so now all I need to do is go into it knitwise, pop it off, go into the back stitch purlwise and pop it off, and pull through. As you go, you need to snug those stitches up pretty nicely so they match your knitting, and then you have this nice continuous band of stitches going from front to back, and then you'll dive to the inside of your sock to darn the end on the inside. And I hope that helps you remember how to do Kitchener stitch.